Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Kai Avery. I am an intuitive life coach, and I am starting out this journey of creating content and being a YouTuber or an Instagrammer or whatever, right? I have just kind of stepped into a space where I'm ready to be seen. And I shared that in my first video, and I think I'll continue to share that until I just don't need to share it anymore. But that's where I'm at. I've been in practice for a very long time. I can't really put a year mark on it because I honestly view the moment that I became aware that there are lessons to learn and things to and knowledge to attain from the experiences that I have in life. That's whenever that came, that's when I've been practicing, right? That recognition and acknowledgement of a bigger reason of why I'm living here and why I'm going through things, or why I'm having certain experiences, so I can't really put an age or a number on it. However, I have been in a spiritual space for a very long time, and I am now, because I feel very much like I've come out of a lot of deeper, Saturn return type of energy, right? I've come out of that. I'm kind of, I feel like, okay, it's time now to put the things that I've learned in my 20s into practice, not only just into practice in my physical world, but also in my spiritual world, asking for more, showing up to receive more. And a part of that is, Spirit very much will tell me straight up, okay, well, if you want more, you're going to need to step out. You're going to need to, I don't want to say prove it, but that's kind of the vibe here. It's okay, well, you want, to have more ease in your life. You want to have more balance in your life, work-life balance, things along those lines. Well, then show us what it is show us what it would look like for you, right? And I'm okay, say less, right? So that's where I'm at. I am very much about vulnerability. I'm about having conversations that are hard. There will be times and I'll always say it out loud and also put it in my bio, or not my bio, but the description box and stuff. When it is more of a triggering conversation, when I know kind of what I'm going to talk about, today I do, because it was given to me. I journaled before I came here, and I know what I need to kind of talk about today. Though I'm not posting this message until Thursday, at the time of me filming this, it's Tuesday, February 27th. And the reason is my Thursday is just insane. And so I can't film on Thursday. So, either way, energy is energy. It moves, it changes, it does what it needs to do, right? So there's, I believe, a higher reason why why my Thursday kind of got booked up so quickly, and why my Tuesday is more relaxed and open. And I just feel like that's just when I needed to tap into this energy. And it's funny because this morning my son came to my bedside and was like, Mom, I don't really feel very good. And I was like, okay, and I had him lay back down, and he feels, he's okay. It's just a little stuffy nose. But I decided I went and talked to my husband, let him know, hey, so this is what's going on, whatever, but this is what I'm thinking. It's been on my mind anyway, in my heart, since last week. I kind of feel like he needs a mental health day regardless. And so that's what he's doing, is he's taking a little break. He's taking a break. And if you're my friend and you know me personally, you know that my child is so deserving of, every child is deserving of breaks and space to grow and be comfortable, right? But for my child and the things that he walks through, he's absolutely he needs the time, and I will absolutely give that to him anytime, right? And a lot of the times that feeling won't come because he has to necessarily show me or tell me. A lot of the I was already feeling it energetically last week that okay, he needs a break, right? And then all of a sudden, he's I don't really feel good. I'm yeah, that makes sense to me, and I actually last night had a whole, while he was sleeping, just did a whole prayer over him and everything. And it's just not surprising to me that now he's kind of these things are trying to leave his energy, right? Through sickness, and he's not sick, but he is, a little but anyway, my point is that today's topic is going to be very leaning into parenthood, especially spiritual parenthood, obviously, but especially for my Black and brown mothers, Black and brown parents, but especially Black and brown mothers. That's my experience. So like I teach best from my experience. I talk best from my experience. It's what I know. You know, I, of course, disclaimer, like I don't come from everybody's, you know, cut, right? So like I'm not the spokesperson on everything brown or everything biracial, or, you know what I mean? Like I'm not the spokesperson on everything motherhood, everything parenthood at all. I am literally, everybody's going to be different. Everybody's going to have their experience and the things that have informed them of and have helped them navigate, right? I'm just sharing my experience and through the tarot, through some oracle decks. I love oracle decks. I'm an oracle deck girl. Because I love pictures and I like stories, but that's why I like tarot too. It's a whole thing. Anyway, whatever. But my point is that I really do feel very much called after my journaling and my son and all this stuff. Like, okay, we're going to talk about some parenthood, specifically motherhood for brown and Black mothers, which is very difficult. So in this now, I will say, it could be very triggering, especially the things that I might talk about, the things that that just might kind of fly out, come out. You know, it could be, you know, talking about, you know, DV, right? Because I'm a domestic violence survivor, right? I have stories, right? And so the healing journey that has come with that experience could definitely be touched on. I touched on that a lot anytime that I'm talking about, you know, motherhood, because that's just been a part of my story, and not just like from myself, but also just generationally, you know. And so yeah, so trigger warning on that. Should it come out more and in more depth than just me saying what I just said, I just want you to know and prepare yourself. And then I will most likely be like, oh, it's coming. Just, you know, hit pause or leave, come back. Like, I don't know, whatever, fast forward, like, you know, whatever you want to do to mitigate and give yourself what you need. But definitely like, don't like force yourself to listen to something if like you're not ready and you're not in that space, right? Like ever be nice to yourself. Be kind. Okay, so we'll jump in. I have 3 oracle decks and 1 tarot deck today, which is very on par for who I am. Today I felt really called to use the Realest Oracle. This is by, oh, is it not written? Oh yeah, it should be written in here. Let's see, Kendra Austin, and illustrated by Bria Benjamin. And yeah, it's super cute. It's super chill. I love it. It's a vibe. So the Realest Oracle. And then we have, and look, I'm gonna have to link things down because I don't even have the box right here. I don't even know where it's at. But this one is The Universe Has Your Back. The Universe Has Your Back. And then the last oracle is the Isis Oracle, because she is the mother. Sorry. And then my tarot deck, I was going to use, so I have 2 cat tarot decks. Everybody, you know me, I love cats. They're my babies forever and always. And I was going to use my cat tarot, my other cat tarot, but then I remembered that I have these little tiny cat tarot cards. So my other cards are like more, they're bigger, they're like a standard tarot size. But then I was like, you know what, I'm talking about kids, I'm talking about motherhood, you know, and these have such chaotic energy. Like they remind me of a toddler, honestly. Like they're just kittens, right? Like they're just, you shuffle them and they want to go everywhere, right? And I'm like, there's a message there. I already shuffled these decks, they're all ready to go. But I was thinking that these are the vibe. So love cats. If you're not a cat person, that's okay. You don't need to be a cat person to hear this message or hear the messages that cats have, because cats are just, they're portals, dude. Look at those eyes. I love them with all my heart. I've always loved cats. They were like my first favorite animal besides sharks, like, which is random. But as a little kid, man, sharks. Bye. I'm a shark girl. So there's like lots of birds out here in my window, and that always happens whenever I sit right here and I start talking about like the spiritual, or I start praying. I pray a lot right here. Birds will just be like, so I just want to welcome them and say thank you for coming. My window's open, so you might hear some like passing by traffic or birds, whatever, outdoor noises. So hopefully it's not too loud. And then also my son is here. He's in his bedroom. He knows I'm filming, but of course, like if he needs me, he can always interrupt. And he's right in the other room. So he's playing Fortnite and living his best life. And so if he's like, you might hear him go, bro, like super loud or something. It is what it is. Motherhood. Okay, my foot's already falling asleep. I love that for myself. Let me just sit like that. Oh, that's better. Okay, great. Let's start. Let's do this. We're gonna start with the Realest Oracle. Oh, what is it? What is it? What do we need to know? What's going on here? What's the energy? What's the anchor? What's going on collectively? Oh, okay. These two wanted to come out. Okay. We've got flow and inner strength, and they're both in reverse. And sometimes I don't always read the oracle cards when they come out reverse, but sometimes I feel like that's a vibe, and I really feel like this is a vibe. And we got a lot of stuck feelings, like a lot of blockages. And a lot of those blockages may be stemming from just like an inability to let go, and to just, it's a form of just like allowing things to be what they need to be. Feeling maybe vibes, you know, that perhaps like, oh, if I could just do this one more thing, or do this one last little like tweak here, or, you know, it's like, it kind of like, it reminds me of like if you're in like a really busy kitchen, like let's say you're a chef, or like you're a part of the kitchen team, and they're like, okay, we need to send this out. We need to send this meal out. The customer is hungry. We need to send this meal out. And the person's like, okay, whoa. Let me just add pepper. Oh, wait. Don't leave yet. Let me just do this. Oh, no, wait. Right? It's like this over vibe, I keep saying vibe, I'm sorry. But like, it's like this overly, this overwhelming need to correct, to perfect. And it's like an obsession, right? That it's now creating a barrier, right? You're not in the flow state. You're not, it's creating a barrier for others. Sorry, it's creating a barrier for others. It's like, cause like now the wait staff is like stressed out because they're like having to go deliver the message. Like, I'm sorry, like just a little longer. Maybe the customer is getting upset. You know, the chef himself is probably getting pissed because he's like, hello, like you're fucking up my kitchen, right? You're fucking up the flow of it, right? Because like when we're not in flow, it really eventually, maybe not immediately, but eventually it begins to affect those around us, right? And so because we're talking more about like how this vibe, like we're talking about how we're focusing this video very much on parenthood and like motherhood, especially, like I said, it is this overarching vibe. God, why do I keep saying that? I don't say it that often. Jeez. It's this overarching need to control, right? There's this obsession with control, obsession with perfection. And maybe you're putting that a little bit on your kid. Maybe you're putting that a little bit more on yourself. And it might not just be that like, you know, you might not recognize that you're criticizing your child because you're criticizing your child, you're criticizing yourself, but it's coming out as criticism towards your child, right? And it might be something that you need to look at for yourself, right? I know that there's times that we don't mean to, right? We don't mean to. It's not on purpose. It's not because we're like, I'm just so, you know, I just want to be a jerk, right? Sorry that I'm kind of wiggly. My leg is just like not in the best position. You know, we're just a little maybe like upset, like at our lives or at our situation, that we tend to take it out on the most vulnerable around us, which tend to be our children, right? And like they don't know, or they don't understand like what the problem might be or where we're at. And you know, and like I said, it's not that we're necessarily trying to take it out on them, or like that's like we logically know, like, or we're logically aware that like, you know, I'm going to take this out on you because, you know, you did this. Like, we know logically it wasn't the fault of our child. It just like, we're just overwhelmed maybe at work, or we're overwhelmed at school, or we're overwhelmed with bills or just other responsibilities that need our attention. And like, how do we balance this out? And we're just so stressed out all the time, because then the shame comes in because we're not being perfect. We're not perfectly attending to our children or tending to them. We're not, you know, maybe we're giving them the phone a little too much. Maybe we're letting them do too many video games a little too much, or maybe we're, you know, and it's like these, I don't say these things to like be like, you know what I mean? Like, we all have had our experiences of just being tired, right? Being tired and not feeling like we have like the strength to go on. And that takes me to like the inner strength portion, right? But then also when I was shuffling this, when I went to go put this card down, my decks down before I started filming, the strength card was at the bottom of this deck. And that makes sense to me now that we're getting this inner strength kind of like reversed. And like how I'm seeing that is like, you know, you're just depleted. There's nothing to pull from. Right? So it's like getting into what would return you back to feeling a sense of strength. And I don't mean, you know, like, look at me, I'm so strong, I can endure, and I can, you know, because we have the flow card here, right? Like, when you think about strength, sometimes strength comes in letting go. It's like a lot of times, like, it takes a lot of inner strength or inner fortitude to acknowledge that we were wrong, acknowledge that we need to say sorry, acknowledge that we haven't been at our best, or, you know, like, even acknowledging that we've been, you know, losing focus of what's important. And it's okay. I feel like there's this more of an emphasis for some reason, whatever, on like this need for perfection and this like overarching like need to continue to achieve, when no one else is asking that of you at all. It's all something that's like maybe needing attention in here for your inner child, that like maybe you as a child, trigger warning, maybe felt like you were never enough, you were never good enough, you were never smart enough, or wow, I just remembered my dream. I remembered it already this morning. I told my husband about it, but I was just like laughing about it. But now I see why I had this vision, this dream. If you're familiar with her, she's wonderful. Her name is Tatiana Tarot. I don't know her personally at all, but I love her content. She was in my dream last night, and she was my professor. I'm in school right now, and she was my professor, and I got a D. I got a D on my essay. And a lot of it was just stupid mistakes. Like, I got this D on this essay. She was like, look, like, you're smart. I don't understand. Like, what happened? Like, you made a lot of grammatical errors, like dumb errors, like spelling you like YOO, right? That wasn't exactly what the conversation was, but that was like when I could see my paper in my mind's eye and all the red marks along it, right? The circles and the question marks and the like, what the fuck was that? I was like I recognized like these are all really silly like mistakes like that I just made because I wasn't engaged, I wasn't focused, I wasn't putting my best foot forward. And there was a part of me maybe, and like I'm not saying this, like I didn't have this vision in my dream, I was just upset that I got a D, right? But right now I'm telling you that perhaps like I made these silly mistakes that I wouldn't typically make, right? These mistakes wouldn't be typically made if I were grounded in myself. They're out of character. So perhaps turning it back to you and our conversation here, perhaps the things that you're doing that you're like, oh, how could I have done that? It's like, well, are we grounded in ourselves right now? Are you grounded in yourself? Have you taken the time to get back to your flow state? Have you taken the necessary steps to replenish the soul and take care of what it is that you need to take care of for you, right? Prioritizing you. You need to be your first priority. That's going to teach our children, like that's a legacy right there, right? Especially in a world like this, where quite literally, it's always the conversation of do more, right? Do more. And if you're doing less, then you're dumb, right? Not just like that, but pretty much, right? And in a world where that's kind of, well, I don't want to say world because I don't know. There's other countries that have more of an understanding of a collectivism mindset versus an individualistic mindset, right? But here in America, if you're in America, that is very much the vibe, right? I'm gonna start censoring myself, like beep beep every time I say vibe, so that nobody gets tired of it, because I'm tired of it. But that is definitely the energy of American society, right? Whether we like it or not, whether we agree with it or not, it doesn't matter. It's just what it is, right? And so for those of us, I will say myself, right? I see the balance in both. I see the balance in definitely like minding the self. But I also see that like to be able to combat the mentality of burnout and like that being like a societal norm is like burnout. Oh yeah, I know how it is, we just got to keep going this life, to combat that type of language that our children surely will grow up in and become accustomed to and perhaps even fluent in, the language of that, and also the action behind the language of that, right? That they just accept it on all parts of themselves, on every layer of themselves, as the truth, when it's really just a societal belief, nothing more. The way that we can teach our kids to combat those things is by showing them how, right? And how we can teach them to do that is prioritizing the self. I did that this morning with my son, like, yes, you're not feeling too hot anyway, but I think that overall you would benefit from just a mental health day. And he's just like, what is that? What's that? And I told him, he's like, well, because at first he was like, because when he hears mental health, he understands and it has the concept that mental health means, anxiety, depression, right? That's pretty much like especially anxiety. He's very familiar with that. And so or ADHD, because I have ADHD. And so he's very much familiar with that type of a term for mental health, right? And how it can overwhelm the person, right? Experiencing it. But so when I said you need a mental health day, he's like, I don't feel anxious. I don't, you know what I mean? He's like, I don't understand. I'm like, no, this just gives you a break. And he's like, well, what do I do with the mental health day? And I was like, nothing. You sit here, you sit in your room, I'll make you a comfort meal. Like if you want grilled cheese and tomato soup, like whatever, you want some tea, you want to use my foot bath, right? I got a foot bath for my birthday. Shout out to my friend Alyssa. Thanks, girl. If you want to use that, I'll give you, a massage, like whatever it is that you need, right? Like I will take care of that for you. Because you're having a mental health day. It's time to take a break. You're taking a break from the drama, from the stuff, right? So anyway, I think that I can move on a little bit with the inner strength. Like I just want to really look into replenishing the self, right? And putting yourself first. Like my son is learning this because I'm showing him what it is for him. But I also am showing him that like in this household, this is the atmosphere of our household, right? Is that we value mental health here. Like we value it. We see it as something that needs to be poured into. We need breaks, we need time, we need rest, we need replenishment, we need to sleep, we need to enjoy, we need to just do whatever we need to do in order to re-ground and reaffirm ourselves like within the self, so that we can build up our inner strength and our endurance again, right? It's not something that is like just going to replenish itself. We have to take the time, we have to carve it out, and it can be very real, like selfish, like feeling very selfish in that, and then the shame that comes with that and the guilt that comes with that, especially for people that identify as woman, right? Like it could definitely, it can come for everybody, right? Of course, I know, but I'm just speaking from my experience, right? Which can be very myopic, I know, but it's what I've got. I'm sorry. For me, it feels selfish. For me, at times, I've gotten a lot better over the years, but it can feel very like, I don't, like, ooh, maybe I shouldn't be, like, I feel like I'm indulging, right? And it's like, my idea of indulging is that I'm like sitting down. Like what? Like I'm sitting in a chair Like I'm pleasure reading. I'm not reading for school or reading because I need to know something. I'm reading just because I wanted to read this book, and I'm giving myself the opportunity to read this book. I also keep a planner, y'all, too, just like FYI. And I will literally, you know, if you need to schedule that time for yourself, please do, right? You might be that person that just kind of needs to do that, right? So it works as a reminder, not and like helps you keep it sacred. Like, okay, this day, Fridays, like literally, excuse me, I am taking time to pleasure read. Like, I have these 2 books here that I've been like meaning to read. One of them I've been meaning to finish. The other one I've been meaning to start. And so I'm like, I'm gonna do it on Friday. I'm good. That's going to be my reading day, that I just read because I want to, right? Not because I have something to achieve, right? It's not always about achievement, right? And so being in your flow state, putting that first, right? And like, once you can get into that, like the inner strength will begin to like build up, right? The fortitude, the ability to show up, you know. But if you can't show up right now, you're not supposed to. Like, if you want to say no, say no, you know. Don't do more just because you think. A message that came through last night for me too in my own meditation that I'll share with you guys, because I think that it's something that you need to know, is do not just do something just because you feel rushed. Like, just because the opportunity has presented itself doesn't mean that you have to go grab it, right? You can say, I don't have the capacity for that right now. And that's okay. I don't need to do something just because I'm standing up, right? You sat down, so sit down. Sit down. Metaphorically, physically, spiritually, energetically, whatever it is, but sit down, right? And when you stand, when you do choose to stand, that doesn't mean that you need to immediately find something to do. You could stand just to be still. That's the thing. And you can take that message with however you want to take it. We got to move on though, because I'm like already hitting minute 30, and that's crazy because a girl be talking. Gemini moon, baby. I got things to say. So anyway, the message is the message is the message. Okay, so I'm feeling vibes, inner child. And I want to shuffle with my, what is this? Inner child, okay. Yeah, so what's our messages from our inner child? These are so hard to shuffle at times. Whoop. Messages from our inner child. Oh, yeah, guys, you got to stop judging yourselves and like letting that be the thing that leads you to like your action, right? There's so much judgment, like, of just like, when you are like, I want to experience this, I want to have this experience, I want to be in my joy, right? Whatever that is, right? It might be like, I want to climb a tree, like legit. You might be 30 years old being like, man, that's a good climbing tree, right? Or like, man, I really wanted to pick up this like class. I really wanted to take this dance class, but I'm too scared because I haven't done this in forever, or I haven't, something that there's something there, or maybe you need to define this. But most of you, I have the feeling that you're going to know exactly, it's going to come to mind. Like, as I say it, like, most of you are experiencing a space where you're like, man, I wish I could get back to that. Like a hobby that you had as a child, right? Like for myself, like I really, as a kid, like I love dance, right? And there's times, not always, but there are times that I'm like, man, I should take a dance class today. Like just a drop-in dance class. And it might just be that you don't have to be a dancer now, but like it just might be like, I'm gonna take this class today, or I'm gonna go for this, I'm gonna write this short story today. Not even that it has to go anywhere, but just to tap into things that you really love doing as a kid and allowing yourself more time to do those things and bringing that up, right? And not just because it's really good for you, period. It's really good healing and cathartic work for yourself, but it's also very wonderful for our kids to see us move like that, for our kids to honor the child within ourselves, right? Because they are like, wow, being a kid is something worth honoring. Like being a kid brings healing. I'm a healer, like, but like, that's kind of the vibe, right? They see that you're honoring your inner child. My son is very familiar with me using that terminology. And last week, I think it was last week or the week before, I really was called to spending time with little Kai every single day. And it was something that I brought my son in on. And I was like, hey, so like little Kai has been really wanting to hang out, and I was wondering if you would play with her. And he's just like, yeah, you want to play a game? He's like, you want to play Candyland? Like literally, he was like, do you want to play Candyland? We didn't end up playing Candyland. We actually ended up playing like gaming together. But it's same vibe, right? And like, you'd be surprised how wonderful, like how just amazing our kids are, and like how much they will really just bring you into that energy so effortlessly. They're like little portals. They're portals of like remembrance, and just being in that element and that energy. And like, there's definitely like there's a lot of judgment that's coming with it, whether it's from external sources, but it really feels like it's more internal with this Two of Swords in reverse, right? It's like this, and the Judgment card in reverse. Like, it really feels like, you know, there's a sense of like, I can't because, I won't because, if I did this, then who would know? Like, how weird is that? Like, I can't behave that way. I'm a mother. I can't behave that way. I'm a father. I can't behave that way. I'm a guardian. I can't, you know, like, that's a waste, right? And it can come from a very logical space, right? Like, I just had the image again, kitchen. There's something to do with kitchen. Maybe a chef is listening right now. I don't know, but maybe like, or maybe you need to do, like, you need to go to culinary school, or you need to pick up, like, you need to start baking more, or like, if you have that recipe that you wanted to share with the world, like, do it, right? Maybe that's why, I'm just saying. But, you know, let's say that you're in the kitchen and you're like, I want to make something just to make it. Even if I don't know if it's going to taste good, I have these ingredients and I'm going to just throw something together and we'll see how it goes. The logical adult brain in you is like, okay, but we don't got money like that. Which like may be true, but like, is that all that we're here for? Right? And it's kind of like getting, like, kind of challenging your knee-jerk reaction, which is like, my knee-jerk reaction is to be responsible when there's this piece of me, a very loud piece of me, that is like crying out for fun, just cuz, right? So maybe finding a balance, right? Okay, we don't have money for a bunch of, like, for me to just go ham and make a whole meal, right? But I could definitely make like a side dish, you know, with these ingredients, and get creative, whether I like it or I don't, right? Or I can have the faith that I'm going to make something delicious, however you want to do it, right? But it's like getting out of our logic brain and more into our feeling brain, and our like, just like going with the vibe, right? Because you'd be surprised how much actually will show up for you to lead you to that next space, right? When you're like in your joy. And I can't stress that enough. I know I talked about that in my last reading too, and it's because there's such a need for it right now. Like, there's such a need for us as people to just be in that element, you know, because it almost feels selfish, right? It's almost a privilege. Yeah, not even almost, it definitely is, because there are places in this world right now they just don't necessarily have the fucking option, and that's bullshit. And I hate that. And I wish that there was more that I could do to like just take my hand and like lift the oppression off, right? And like it's just so unfair. Like, it's just so unfair, and I don't know why. I don't know why it's like that, or what, like, why fear is such a driving force, right? But I have to believe that when we, as we can in our own lives, make the decision to not lean into fear and to lean more into faith and lean more into love and lean more into courage, right? And lean more into understanding, because like we're able to start to break down the energy of fear, right? The energy as a collective, when we're able to individually do the work that allows us to move past our fear and get to know what's unknown and respect it, right? We're able to move propel the energy forward, right? And to bring, pull the light into the darkness, to deliver it, you know? And I really just believe that. I believe in a collective effort of just clearing, right? And pushing out. And, you know, there's a message there. I don't know. I don't want to spend 1,000 years on it, but I just yeah, it bothers it. Yeah, I remember on Thanksgiving, especially, I woke up and I had this sorrow, you know. It's I have, you know, I get to wake up to my son and my husband, and we're okay. And, you know, we have a giant fucking bed. So I got out of bed and my son got back. I didn't get out of bed immediately. We were all three in the bed. And then I got out and then took a picture of both my husband and my son just in bed, talking, you know, and hanging out. And I was just and there was this bittersweetness of it. There's all these kids in Gaza that, you know what I mean? And these women and these men and these people that are just suffering. And it's not just there, it's everywhere. And it's just, there's so much suffering in this world. And it's just like, I feel grateful, of course, that I have the space and the time that I do. I'm in a place in the world right now that I am, where I have the privilege of being able to just sit in front of my fucking tripod and talk about tarot and talk about vibes and talk about, you know, getting in your flow state. Like, what a privilege. And I'm not trying to mock it or like push it down. I know my energy kind of like went, you know, but it is like, be grateful, have more gratitude, bring it out more openly and in like action, right? Because it very much could, you know what I'm saying? And so it's, and I'm not saying that to scare anybody. I'm not saying like any of that, right? I'm just literally like saying like, be so fucking for real right now. You know what I mean? Like, be so for real right now. Like, you know, or there's, you know, there's just so much other energy going on, and to express our gratitude to our source, to our God, whoever your God is to you, right? Like, to express that energy of gratitude, of just like thankfulness, you know, and being like serene and treating each other with respect and treating your children with respect and treating yourself with respect, your home with respect, like just really pouring into like the beautiful things that we do have, because there is so much that people are going without right now, basic shit, right? And just being grateful for that, right? And just really, really, really feeling that gratitude and letting that propel you, right? And letting that move you, taking that time. So, and that wasn't like a, you know, it was just a moment, it came, right? For sure. Okay, y'all, so I'm gonna, because this is getting to be a longer video than I expected, I'm gonna move along, taking time with our inner child, right? This is a message, these are, the universe has your back, and so this is really, oh, sorry. This is really just like the vibes. I wanna call in your guides. Well, I hope that you already did call in your guides, your ancestors, and took that time for yourself to be able to meet and have this conversation today. But also I want to call in just your elevated ancestors and counsel, and just the energy of the source energy, the universe, right? With this, the card deck being the universe has my back, you know, your higher self. I really want to like pull the message down from the ethers. Like, what is the message overarching that we most need? Like that love language, that the way that we transmute the energy, right? That the way that we alchemize gratitude, generosity, forgiveness, self-forgiveness. That's the energy here right now with this card deck. Oh, okay. We have a couple. We have a couple which ain't. Oh. Okay. So we've got, I surrender to a power greater than me. True healing occurs when I give myself permission to feel whatever feelings live below the triggers. Wow. That root, that feels really ancestral. So maybe you need to take some time with your ancestors today. I create mindful moments throughout the day, reminding myself that I am love and miracles are natural. Oh, sorry. And I feel the need to, because I got a butterfly on this one, on the I surrender to a power greater than me, there's a little butterfly here. I placed it here before. It doesn't always sit here. It was actually my tree topper. A friend gave this to me last February, so a year ago. They gave it to me, and maybe it was March. Either way, they gave that to me in a card, or on a card, on top of a card. It was so cute. And I saved it. It was a tree topper, and now I finally took my Christmas tree down. And now it's like, you're gonna sit by my bed. And then here we go. So yes, I surrender to a power greater than me. I surrender. I know, I have faith. I step into that understanding that I'm not responsible for the world, right? Like, I'm not, you know, and I really want to say, like, I wasn't trying to like pull that, you know, into your mind, you know, and like be like, oh my God, the world, you know, it's just, understanding that there is a higher order of things that, and like, thank God, right? But at the same time, we do still have a responsibility to each other and to ourselves, right? And that is through creating those mindful moments throughout the day, right? And that is also through healing. When you give yourself permission to feel whatever feelings lie beneath the triggers, right? So if things that I talked about were triggering, or you felt like, ooh, there's some fire in there, get curious, do some journaling, take some time, right? And that is creating a mindful moment for yourself. Absolutely. Okay, one last card and then we'll move on. This is from the Isis Oracle. This is for our ancestral mothers, our just womb space, right? All of us came from that, and that can be the great unifier, right? And so let us get some message, some messages, whatever it needs to be from the mother, the mothers, our ancestral mothers. Okay. Gosh, my hands are having a hard time like grasping cards today. Oh. Oh, and this one. Yeah, okay, yeah. Okay. Wow. Okay, so lots of healing energy. We have soul retrieval, pillar of light, and the temple of black obsidian. The temple of black obsidian is the dark healing chamber. That was at the bottom of the deck, so it's not necessarily a card that I pulled, but because it has that theme of healing, I want to take it very literally. Like if you have obsidian, or jet is a good one too, Jet. Types of healing stones, perhaps putting them underneath your pillow, or just kind of keeping them on you during the day, putting them, if you have like a breast pocket or something on your shirt, putting them in your bra, even if you wear a bra, putting them in your pocket, whatever it is, wherever it needs to be. But keeping that thing on you, right? Like, to just kind of create, well, I did say womb space, right? To create that like energetic darkness, which is not a darkness that is negative. It's this darkness that brings in stillness, that is no distraction. It's like hermit energy, right? Like it's just the no distraction, and all that you do, if you think about yourself as a baby in the womb space, if you can remember that far, no, but if you think of it, right, all that your focus is in the womb space is nourishment. That's it. That's it. That's the focus. That's it. Nourishment and growth, right? Nourishment because you're growing, growth because you're being nourished. And that is it. And you might hear the world go on around you, right? You might hear the world going on. You might even hear your mother's heartbeat, right? You might even hear your own. Let that be what heals you. And when I say heartbeat, I really feel the energy of like grounding into earth, like literally grounding into the earth mother and tuning in your heart to hers. And that, through that release alone, like through that moment alone, you may release some energy. You might feel like crying, you might feel, and that's, you know, and you might feel like crying not just on your behalf, but the behalf of the world, the shared suffering that's going on around this globe in so many different ways and for so many reasons, right? But yeah, that's the dark healing chamber. You have soul retrieval here, deep soul healing with the goddess, deep soul healing, right? Soul retrieval. There's that getting back, right? That gives me also very much like inner child work as well. Pillar of light. And again, that's like just in that dark space, right? That is you, and getting back to like the truth of you, the root of you, right? Which goes again into the true healing occurs when I give myself permission to feel whatever feelings lie below the surface, right? Like getting into your root. And then divine destiny, which I just feel like, honestly, that divine destiny is like, it is your destiny to be grounded. It is your destiny, your birthright to be held in a sacred space. It is literally your, I mean, all of us have that. Like I said, that was the great unifier. We all came from a womb, you know, unless you were hatched out of an egg, you know, which I like to joke and say that I was, just for fun. But if, you know, unless that was you were a bird or something, we all came from a womb, and it is within our birthright to feel safe. It is our birthright to feel comforted, to feel supported, to gain nourishment and not feel like it always has to come from us earning it, right? Doing something for it. Living and existing is enough to deserve joy, to deserve warmth, to deserve abundance, to deserve having our needs met. And so I really want to encourage you guys to take the time today, this week, throughout the week. At the time that you're reading this will be, or watching this will be Thursday. Excuse me. But I hope that you take the time throughout the weekend, you know, you just give yourself that space to really, I'm starting to get kind of like watery, like not, and like Piscean, like very Neptune, like I'm starting to get kind of like, ooh, sorry. But I just hope that you can give yourself the space to be free and the space to kind of float on that water, you know, to just be, yeah, that's why, okay, because you think of the amniotic, I think I'm pronouncing that right, amniotic sac, right? And that's water on the inside, right? That fluid, right? It's like a water fluid, and we kind of just float in there, and that's a part of like a protective barrier, right? It's a protective barrier there. It's what keeps you, it's what keeps you like safe and in your own like energy, we'll say, not exposed. You're not exposed to the harm, the germs, the, you know, bacteria, things like that, right? Like it's yours, you know. And maybe that's why I'm getting kind of floaty, is I'm returning energetically into that space where that's just where you're just able to be, and I keep saying that, right? But you're just able to be and nourish and rest and grow in that rest and nourishment without anything coming in, right? You're able to be in your flow state, and it's the most natural expression of life, you know? Like there's just so much safety in that, you know? There's so much healing in that. Because like, though the message was talking about parenthood, but it's also parenting the self, and it's also giving birth to ourselves and to our own, you know, the way that we want to be, how we want to raise ourselves, you know, to be, and how we nourish ourselves and care, you know, and show up for ourselves. That all matters, you know. It's not, and it's also not just our responsibility, but also looking into generational stuff, like where our actual womb space came from, and like honoring that experience, good, bad, or indifferent, and extracting the beliefs that came from that, you know, and being able to kind of look at it a little clearly, right? Again, that's another creation of a mindful moment, right? I know it wasn't all bad. I know it wasn't all good, you know. I have faith and trust that there is always medicine in even the most heart-wrenching experiences that we go through as a people. And I hope, and it is my full intention that you gain that medicine for yourself so that you can administer it and heal and grow from that healing, and that it no longer is the thing that keeps you stuck or feeling like you can't, right? And that we can get that verbiage out right? And you can step into being that pillar of light, right? Because that is your divine destiny. And like a pillar of light isn't necessarily like for, it's not like, yes, of course, like it's for others, of course, you know, but it's also being that pillar of light for yourself, right? Because it's your, it literally says descent of the star Isis. However, for some reason, my brain kept wanting to read descendant of the star, which gives hella cosmic energy for me. So if you subscribe to Pleiadians, you subscribe to Arcturians, if you subscribe to Lemurians, right? Those guys, I would definitely lean into that as well. There might be some ancestral healing in that, along with like your human ancestors, your elevated ancestors, ascended masters, right? Your ancestral mothers, you know, as well. Definitely grandma's grandma. Because you think like we all came from that. Like literally, like I was in my mother's body before she, but like as she was becoming, as she grew in the womb, I was present as well, right? My son was present. You know what I'm saying? Like there's, I mean, we're already, like, it's like a freaking nursing doll, or I think is what it's called. I don't know, that might be wrong, but those little Russian dolls that come, but no, nursing doll. I don't know. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. Basket doll? I don't remember. But I think this is all I am seeing for today. I hope that you have a blessed week, a blessed Thursday at the time of you watching this. I hope that your Tuesday was awesome. Maybe reflect back on what was happening that day, today, on Thursday, to see any any polarities, any vibes that you got. And then also, damn, I got really like woogity. Like I don't even, woo! Maybe just see how the message of, like I said, of today, of Tuesday, applies to you on Thursday. What were you going through? What was your experience? You know, things like that. This video is so long. I'm sorry, I apologize. I really try to keep it in 30 minutes or less, just because people's attention spans. It's real. It's a real thing. But yeah, remember to take mindful moments for yourself today, weekly, monthly. It doesn't matter. Like what's good for this message right now is something like you apply it. You continue to apply it. You continue to get the medicine from it, right? It's not something like, okay, for Thursday, this is what you need to do. It's an always thing. It's a continuum, right? So return to it anytime you need. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you next week. Bye.